Dear students, you are welcome in this class. I'm very happy that most of you have joined. And today we are going to discuss area production and productivity in world, in Asia, as well as in India with respect to rice crop. So learning objective of this class is, our class are, number one, to see the status of rice area, production and productivity in world, different continents, India and Indian states. To detail the area of rice under irrigation, how much area is irrigated in India or some other countries or within Indian states, and reasons of yield gaps. You will see yields are variable. In some countries, yields are high, in other, yields are low. Even within our state, we have differences in grain yield of rice. So what are the reasons due to which we get variable yields in different parts? So as most of you know that all Asian countries grow rice. It is distributed in every country. And most countries of West and North Africa also grow rice crop. And some countries in Central and Eastern Africa also grow rice. And most of the South and Central American countries and also Australia, and at least 4 different states in United States. So here meaning is that rice is being grown on all the continents, whether it is Europe, America, or Asia, or Australia. So it can be seen everywhere. About 95% of the world's rice is produced in developing countries. Developing countries maybe in Asia, maybe in Africa, and 92% of it is in Asia. And now we will see the data. Just I need your attention. You can be a bit concerned or a bit attentive now. So you can see in this slide, you get different continents. There are 6 continents, 5 continents are shown here. And you can see area in 2017, 18, 19, and 2020. And now you see in Africa, the area is 8.9, 10.4, 10.5, something like that. If we see the percentage wise and take the average, then in Africa on an average, 10% area or rice area of the world is in Africa. You can see on the right side in the picture that 10% area is in Africa. Oceania also has. Oceania here means Australia, New Zealand, and some more islands around that. Small islands are there. That makes your Oceania. And Africa, 10%. America, you can see 4% area. America here means South America and North America total. In North America, it is mostly USA. In South America, it is mostly Brazil. So all these countries in North and South America make up 4% area. And now see Asia. Asia makes up 86% area under rice. So this is the point I want to make here. And you can see some data related to world. The last row in this table, you can see area. Area is 167, 165, 162, 164. So if I take the mean, so you can say in world, rice area is about 165 million hectare. Out of 165 million hectare in the world, 86% is in Asia, 4% America, 10% Africa, and some 0.01% or 0.03% in Oceania. Now see production, just we have seen area, now see the production of rice in the world. So first you see the lowermost row, the last one row, world. So here you see production is 769, 762, 755, 756. So one can see that on an average, there may be 756 million tons. It is million tons of coarse paddy. It is rough paddy. When we see data at world level, it is always expressed as coarse paddy or rough rice. However, in India, it is reported as milled rice. Milled rice so far production is concerned. So most of the data is available in form of coarse rice. So you can see the production of coarse rice in the world is 756 million tons approximately. And out of which you can see about 90% is in Asia. See the Asia produces 692, 684, 677, 676, which is roughly 90% of the total world production of rice. So you can see Asia is the largest rice producing continent. And next is your America and Africa. Africa is producing 5% rice of the world, and America is also producing 5% rice of the world. And Oceania, some insignificant number, maybe 0.01% in Oceania, 0.01%, which is very small fractions. So you can see Asia, Africa, and America are the dominant areas where rice is produced. Now see the productivity, yield of rice. Which continent has highest yield? So it is Oceania. Oceania has on an average, you see 9.38, 9.82, 6.4, something around 7 to 8. You can see 7 tons per hectare in Oceania, followed by America, which produces 6.45 at the moment, 6.45 tons per hectare of coarse rice. And third one is your Europe. So Asia or Africa, which were having very significant area, say Asia was having 86% area, Africa was having about 10% area. But if we see the productivity, Africa has lowest productivity, 2.2, exactly half of the world productivity. World productivity is 4.6, but in Africa, productivity is just 2.2 tons per hectare. Asian productivity is 4.82, which is more than the average of the world. So average productivity of the world is lower, mainly because of lower productivity in Africa. Africa is responsible for this lower productivity of the world. Otherwise, in Asia, Europe, America, it is more than world's average productivity. So do you have any question on this? Now see harvested area in the world. Can you see this slide, please? Are you able to see it, Shubham?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Yes, sir.
So now you see the area harvested in million hectare. 1 million is equal to 10 lakhs. I think you know 1 million is equal to 10 to the power 6, sorry. 10 to the power 6. Or 10 lakh, yeah, I think it is 10 lakh. You see, India has largest area. In India, you got about 43.8, 44, 43.8, 45. So if you take the mean area in India, it is 43.5. I can say 43.5 million hectare area of rice in India. So there is not much change in years. So it is hovering, or it is nearing about 43, 44 million hectares. In China, it is almost 30 million hectare. You can see 30 million hectare area in China. So India has 1.5 times more area than China. Now see, the third country is Indonesia. Indonesia has about 10 to 11% area. So I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. It is million hectare, 10 million hectare area in Indonesia, 1/3 of China. So you can see next is Bangladesh, which has about 11.5 million hectare area. So these 4 countries are very, very important, which have very good area, high area under rice cultivation. Another important country is Thailand, where you can see area is about 10.5 million hectare, 10.6, 10.6, 9.7, 10.4. So you can say 10.5 million hectare area is in Thailand. So number 1 is China, India, number 2 is China, number 3 is Indonesia, number 4 is Bangladesh. So you can remember that India has highest area, 44.
Sir, according to data, sir, number 3 should be Bangladesh.
Number
3 should Bangladesh, 11.4 million.
Yeah, this is mistake. Yeah, thank you very much. This is my typing mistake. No. Bangladesh is number 4. No typing mistake. Bangladesh is number 4, dear. Number 3 is Indonesia, which has 50. Okay, now, yeah. In the end, it is 10.6. I just seen 15.8 and I put it.
Yes.
Yeah, it is mistake, dear. Thank you. So we need to correct it.
Okay, sir.
Number 1 is India. Thank you, dear. Number 2 is China. And number 3 is Bangladesh. There is no doubt about it. Thank you for correcting me. And this, your Indonesia is number 4 now. So please correct it. Thank you. And Thailand is also important country where you can see it is about 10.4, 9.7, 10.6 million hectare area. And next is Vietnam. So the top 6, 7 countries or 8 countries are important, having very high areas. And see countries in Europe, they have very small area. Italy just 0.2 million hectare. Your Spain 0.1 million hectare. Russia also grows rice. Russian Federation 0.2 million hectare. And Egypt has say 0.5 million hectare. USA has very small area, 1 or 1.2 million hectare. Brazil also around 2 million hectare. And Australia, a very small area, 0.005 million hectare. So this is how area of rice is distributed. Here you can remember India, China, Bangladesh are the countries having leading area. So India, China, Bangladesh. Thank you. Next, you can see top 10 rice producing countries. It is list of the countries. So countries, important countries are no doubt China is the leader in production. China, India, Vietnam, Philippines, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Thailand, Indonesia, mostly these Asian countries, but Brazil is also having 9th rank in production. Now see the production of coarse paddy, rough rice, million tons. So you can also check here if any mistake was there. So no doubt China is number 1, producing around 214, 212, 209, 213. If I take the average, it may be 212, something like that, 1212 or 212 or 213, 212 or 213 million tons of rough rice is produced by China. India produces about 168, 174, 177, and now 178 million tons of rough rice. So next is India, and third one is your Indonesia, 81, 59, 54, and 54.6. Now again, we can see Bangladesh is number 3rd. So if we see minutely in year 2019 and 2020, then Bangladesh is number 3. So please correct it, this one also. And Indonesia is number 4 with 54.6 million tons of production. The other important countries are Myanmar, you can see high production. Thailand also having about 30 million tons, and Vietnam 42 million tons, etc. And other countries have very small production. Because 90% production is coming from Asia, 5% from America, and 5% from Africa. Any point you want to make here? Thank you. Now, if we see the production of coarse paddy, rough rice production, the yield. So you can see in Asia, the countries like China has highest productivity of 7 tons per hectare rough rice. Next is Korea. Korea has 6.49 in year 2020, 6.49 tons per hectare of rough rice. And third one is Japan. Japan has 6.64 tons per hectare productivity in year 2020. That is the latest data available. If you see at world level, Australia is having highest production. If you see Australia row, second one from the bottom, Australia, you can see in 2017, 9.82, 10.4, 8.77, and 10. So it is more than 9, or roughly around 10 tons per hectare of rice is produced in Australia. That is highest yield. Number 2 in world level is Egypt. Egypt produces 9.3, 8.64, 8.37, 8.83. Now it is 8.83 tons per hectare in Egypt. See, the third one is USA. USA has 8.54 tons per hectare of productivity. So productivity is highest in non-Asian countries. You can say all are non-Asian countries, mainly because of their smaller area and better management. I will discuss the reasons later, just after 1 or 2 slides. You will see the reasons for this. Now see the case of India. India has productivity of 3.85, coarse rice 3.96, 4.06, or 3.96. So you can say 4 tons per hectare. At the moment, our productivity is 4 tons per hectare, and Chinese productivity is 7 tons per hectare, and the world productivity is 4.61. So Indian productivity of 4 tons per hectare is 0.61 tons per hectare less than the world's productivity, which is a matter of concern. Means we are Asian country, we have largest area, but our average productivity is well below the world's average productivity. Matter of concern. And see, in China, China has 3 tons per hectare more productivity than India. That is why they are producing much more rice from 30 million hectares than what we produce from 45 million hectares. So the differences in productivity are important, and we will see why the productivity of China is more than India. Now see, overall, you must have seen right now, there are a number of yield gaps. We can compare yield gaps in productivity of different countries, continents, or so on. So why these variations in yield happen? Why in some cases yields are high? Why in other cases yields are low? So friends, this is very common to all the crops. Such fundamental aspects or reasons or factors are not limited to rice only. They can be extended to other crops, like wherever we have low productivity, whether it is wheat, whether it is pulses or oil seeds. So you can see there are 4 important factors for yield gap. Number 1 is physical factors. Your soil is not good, soil is bad. It is not fertile, it has some limitations. So problem soils, poor water management, your flooding is there, or drought conditions are there. And of course, temperature stresses. Now we get some stresses, terminal heat stress in some crops, and in rice also temperature is very, very important. We'll discuss in detail how this temperature affects the rice crop. So adverse temperature can affect the productivity or can affect the gap. See, Punjab has very high productivity of rice compared to other states, mainly because of bright sunny days at the time of grain filling. So solar radiation is also important in this case. So physical factors may lead to yield gap. Biophysical factors like varieties, we will see how varieties affect the yield. Seeds, the new seeds, certified seed, good quality seeds, infestation of weeds, insect, pest, disease, these biotic components can reduce the yields. And due to inadequate crop management, we'll see how Australia is making good crop management and their productivity is highest. And of course, post-harvest losses may be more in case of developing countries or in countries where yields are low, and the recovery of produce will be more in developed country, or losses may be more. It depends upon the management. So biophysical factors may be responsible for yield gaps. Third is socio-economic factors. In India, we have variety of socio-economic factors like labor shortage. Labor shortage may be in rice, in other crops. It can affect the growth and finally yield of crops. Cost benefit analysis, farmers' knowledge. Most of our farmers are illiterate. You might be knowing it. Skills and welfare conditions. All these socio-economic factors may lead to yield gaps. Of course, some institutional factors are there. Here, institutional factors means farmers do not have control on these factors. They are governed by the government. Like government policies, they can affect the yield gap. See, case of China, we say they are communist countries, but they are supporting their farmers much more than India. They are giving variety of subsidy on rice production. They are giving subsidy on implements to produce rice, because that is also a mainstay of Chinese food security. So government policies, rice price, agriculture credit, and input supply. I think you are well aware of the input supply right now. You must be knowing that many farmers died standing in queue to buy fertilizers. They were ready to pay money to buy fertilizers before sowing of the wheat, but many of them could not get it because of poor supply, black marketing of fertilizer. These are the problems with our agriculture. Land tenure, agricultural research and extension system is also not very strong. So all these institutional factors are maybe responsible for yield gaps. In India, there is not very good link of rice industry to the farmer. Of course, government or people have tried, but could not succeed in getting close linkage between rice industry and farmers. But in Australia, they have very good linkage of industry and farmers. Now see yield of rice in Australia. On an average, you can say it is more than 9.5 tons per hectare. And in 2020, it was 10 tons per hectare. Now see, Australia is not growing rice for consumption, for home consumption. They are growing rice for export. It is there in their mind that we will sell it. We are not consumer of rice. So area is also small, 52,000 hectares. And annual production is 819,000 tons. Per capita consumption is very small, 10 kg per annum. And domestic use is hardly 50% of the total production. Means 85% of rice from Australia is meant for export. Average yield is 10 tons per hectare, likewise. So now we will see why the yields of rice are high in Australia. Number one, it is not that every farmer, any farmer can grow rice in Australia. The farmers are given license to grow rice. Farmers who are not given license cannot grow rice. There are certain conditions from the government to issue this license that, okay, first we have identified the area. Rice will be grown only in this area, which is Murray and Murrumbidgee area. These are irrigated areas in Australia, and they are falling in valleys of southern New South Wales. Only one state of Australia grows rice, that is New South Wales. And in this southern South Wales, you got these two valleys, Murray Valley and Murrumbidgee valleys. So these are the areas which have been selected for rice. And why they have selected them? Because of flat land and clay-based soils. These soils are clay in texture. Therefore, they can hold water for longer time. Availability of water is more, and water losses are less. So therefore, such soils are good for high yields. Therefore, rice can only be grown on approved soils, and farmers need to follow the rice growing rules set by their irrigation company. Development of storage and milling infrastructure. Storage conditions are much better in Australia, and milling infrastructure is there because these two jobs are done by industry. In India, we really lack storage facilities for any grain, for vegetable. We lose a lot of rice and wheat in India due to poor storage. You must have seen that our rice and wheat are stored on roadside in Haryana and Punjab. They are stored in open, and rats are wandering. So we got a lot of wastage during storage, but the storage is strong. Well-organized industries and export and marketing. All infrastructures are available. Export support is there from the government. Marketing is mediated by the government and industries. Use 50% less water. Varieties are available because these farmers have direct linkage with the scientists also. Farmers are involved in the development of varieties, and they could develop better varieties. And also they follow best management practices in Australia. And what are the best management practices? Certain technologies and Australian rice check. So these are the two things which are responsible for higher yields in Australia. Why I am discussing it? So that part of the lesson we can learn and we can implement in our country also. So technology, see, they are using the latest technology. Most of the precision farming technologies are being adopted by Australian farmers to grow rice. So like most farms use laser guided land leveling techniques. So this is good. I think I need not to explain much, but level land will save your resources. It will save your water. It will save your some other cost also. GPS is part of precision farming. So GPS, GIS, remote sensing, and computerized whole farm designs and laser land forming. So what I mean to say that rice is grown by precision farming techniques and aerial machinery. Aerial machinery is your targeted use of input. It will help in the targeted use of input, this aerial machinery, like seed broadcast. They do not grow rice by transplanting method. They grow rice by direct seeding. So they can use aeroplane or a helicopter, whatever drone, etc. are there for broadcasting of the seed, spraying of chemicals, herbicide. So modern, the latest tools of agriculture or crop production are being followed by them. For example, see the case of water management. This is the case of water management. Can you see this picture? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir,
sir.
we can see.
Oh, very nice. So now you see it starts from October to March, and sowing of rice is done in Australia in September. So from October onward, the crop, by October, crop has taken germination, maybe 5 to 10 centimeter tall. So at that stage, you can see the depth of water. Depth of water is shallow depth of water in the beginning. During the vegetative growth phase up to December, you can see the depth of water is very shallow. But then from December to January, you can see that they have increased the depth of water. That means it is the reproductive phase. During the reproductive phase, they keep the soil fully saturated with water, rather 10 centimeter standing water, or maybe more than 10 centimeter, 15 centimeter, blue color. And once the flowering is over or heading is over, then they can reduce the height of the water. You can see from January to February, the height of the water has been decreased. And after February, when the ripening starts, there is no water. So during the last 15 days before the harvest, there is no standing water in the field. So this is this kind of water management is practiced in practice. It is not for namesake. They are being observed by people. So you can see they are using plenty of water, but still they say that we are using 50% less water. Maybe it may be effect of temperature, or maybe the kind of soils they have, clay soils, because of which they claim that we can grow rice with 50% of water, what is being used by some Asian countries. Now you see Australian Rice Check Program in brief. So this program was important, which has led to increased productivity of rice in China. So Australian Rice Check Program. So rice, you understand, Australian, you understand. Check here means certain controls are there, certain guidelines are there. So 1986, it was introduced in New South Wales. Is the only state where rice is grown by Department of Agriculture. They named it Rice Check. So what happened that time, they could develop the high-yielding semi-dwarf varieties, and farmers monitor and check crops to see how their crops compare to the measures for high yields. Ongoing extension program was there, created a learning culture, means farmers will learn from the scientists and extension worker, and there were closer link between farmers, researcher, extension, and commercial agronomists and the rice interest. Means all the stakeholders were in network. They were attached to each other, and then they started following certain technologies to grow rice in Australia. You can see what is made up of this Australian Rice Check Program. And there are about 9 fundamental principles or 9 keys. Number 1, good layout. Good layout, as I already told you, laser land leveling is done with a land form E1 grade means zero slope between banks and well-constructed bank of a minimum height of 40 centimeters should be bund height. Sowing on time, well in time, around September. Achieve 200 to 300 plants per meter square. You need to achieve so many plants per meter square. Apply only registered or approved pesticides. Many times in the market, some fake pesticides are there, some wrong kind of pesticides are there, and sometimes recommendation is also not good. Suppose there is damage by insect, but I say spray fungicide. So if recommendation is wrong, if farmers are going to a retail shopper and they ask for insecticide or kind of problem which is made by insect and they spray fungicide, it happens in our country with the farmers. So right pesticide is suggested by scientists and apply. Apply sufficient nitrogen to achieve the target range nitrogen uptake at panicle initiation so that the PI top dressing requirement does not exceed 60 kilo nitrogen. Means they have done an efficient management of nitrogen and top dress nitrogen based on fresh weight and NIR based upon the chlorophyll levels they suggested that time in 1986. Now we are talking about leaf color chart, spread meter, this and that, but they have done it in 1986. Apply to 10 to 20 kg P per hectare pre-flood, means before the planting or sowing of the crop. Achieve PI before 10th January so that it coincides with the best temperature. For maturity, rice need about 24-25 degrees centigrade temperature. If lower than this or higher than this, the quality and quantity of the grain is reduced. Achieve a minimum water depth of 20 to 25 centimeter during the early pollen microscopic stage or at the end of the
Excuse me, sir.
reproductive phase. Yes, please.
Sir, sir, in 7 number point, the colloidal phosphorus is below 20 ppm. What is colloidal phosphorus?
I think this is available phosphorus. Available
Okay,
phosphorus. What happened? There are two kind of soils. One is your alkali soils, pH more than 7. In those soils, we measure Olsen phosphorus. Olsen phosphorus is mainly for alkaline soils. And this, I think, Colwell phosphorus is for acidic soils. So this may be available phosphorus. Yeah, perhaps this is available phosphorus. I will check it and confirm.
okay, sir.
That's good. So achieve a minimum water depth of 20 to 25 centimeter around the at the end of the reproductive phase when pollen grains development start. Now, so you have seen by now you have seen why productivity is more in Australia compared to many other countries. Egypt also has very good productivity, number 2. So what happened in Egypt at that time? Now the productivity of rice is going down in Egypt also. They have reached up to 10 tons per hectare, say 10 years before, but now their productivity is also declining if you remember that table. But anyhow, that time, why did they increase? Why could they increase the productivity? How they could? Because of replacement of old variety by high-yielding hybrids. So area under hybrids was increased. Hybrids like Giza 175 or Shakha 102 and so many hybrids, they use hybrid rice and intensive demonstration. Extension activities were prominent and monitoring the production constraints. So overall, Egypt also got high yields mainly because of introduction of hybrids and better extension program. Now see difference in China and India. So why productivity is 7 tons in China and 4 tons in India, 3 tons less. So in China, they got favorable growing conditions. Favorable growing conditions of temperature, solar radiation, and water. Because 90%, more than 90% rice is irrigated in China. In India, only 60% rice is irrigated. In some area, they can take 2 crops per year. High-yielding varieties or hybrid. About more than 50% area under rice hybrids in China. Sometimes back it was 60%, but now it is declining. Area under hybrid rice is declining in China, but still it is more than 50%, means out of 30 million hectare area in China, 15 million hectare is occupied by hybrid rice. Therefore, their productivity is high because hybrid rice can yield 15 to 20% higher than the inbred variety. So it is the largest adopter of hybrid rice in the world. Improved crop management, and they also use very high doses of nitrogen fertilization, maybe 400 kg nitrogen per hectare, which is too high. Hybrid rice research, of course, was started by Professor Yuan Longping in 1964, and first hybrid was in practice in 1975. And recently he passed away last year, this LP Yuan. He made very significant contribution in hybrid rice development in China. And you can see his picture. This is his picture, LP Yuan. Now you see the data from China. So you can see the picture on the left side. Here you see different years, 1965, 75, and so on. And you can see different lines and this. So first you see the yellow one, the yellow or orange line, which is total rice production area. So total rice production area roughly around 30 million hectare in China, out of which hybrid rice production area, you can see the red line, dotted line, so which has reached about one time it has reached 20 million hectare, 20 million hectare one time under hybrid rice out of 30 million hectare. But now area is slightly declining in under hybrid rice, but it is more than 50%. It is more than 15 million hectare, still more than 15 million hectare in 2050. And you can see the productivity of rice in blue line. You can see it is increasing. The productivity is increasing. For on the right side x-axis, you can see more than 7 tons per hectare. And now they have developed hybrids. Hybrids are important because you can see in 2015 to 17, they had hybrid, which was named as super hybrid rice, and it yielded 16 tons per hectare. And during 2018 to 2020, they developed hybrids which could produce 17 tons per hectare of yield. And now recently they have developed one super hybrid which can yield 22.5 tons per hectare of yield, rice yield. So hybrid is the main reason. But in India, people don't like hybrid rice. Therefore, our area under hybrid rice is hardly 3 million hectare. Only 3 million hectare, 6.8% area in India is occupied by hybrid rice, which comes out to be 3 million hectare. So very less area. In India, you can see this is the coarse rice yield. In 2020, it was 178.3, and milled rice yield, you see table on the right side, 118.8 million tons of rice. So I will continue this lecture in the lecture after a break of 5 minutes, 4-5 minutes, so that we can join another link. So I stop the recording now.
Can we leave, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Stop.